Hello, welcome back to Netrunner from the Bay Area. I have a game here from the game Kastle Santa Clara Store Championship. This is probably the fourth year in a row that they've run this event down there in Santa Clara. That's near Google, if people are not in the local area, near Mountain View, south of San Francisco. I have, this was round 3 of the Swiss. This was a martial law tournament. Martial law was the latest data pack, quorum not quite out yet. And I have Noah McKee on the left playing NEH, and I have Todd Wild on the right playing Geist. And commenting with me tonight is Chris McLennan. How are you doing, Chris?
Hey Brian, I'm doing great, thanks. How about you?
I'm doing good. And Chris used to play quite often in the area, and about a year and a half ago moved down to San Diego and is now crushing it down there, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I like to consider myself as bi-Aryan.
Sure.
I have Northern California and Southern California.
A California player. California
yes.
Player. And we have, Geist versus NEH here. So you said you'd been playing Geist quite a bit recently yourself, right?
Yeah, honestly, I was kind of bored with a lot of the Anarch stuff out there, and I wanted kind of more of the exciting criminal that I love so much. And Dodgepong recently put up a deck, Angry Geist, that I kind of took and modified a little bit. On the Lam in particular was a fantastic card for Geist that came out recently. But started playing it, and I've been doing pretty well. I won a store champion, or not store championship, but a game that kit with it fairly recently, and I'll probably end up taking it to a store championship down here.
Great.
It's a fun deck, and it has a decent amount of power.
So we'll see if Todd is running that same list here. I'm sure there'll be some similarities. And Noah, revealed some interesting tech here so far. So he showed Jeeves, and he showed Advanced Assembly Lines. Advanced Assembly Lines synergizing with NEH in a similar way to ETF, getting the card draw on your opponent's turn.
Yeah, and it kind of signifies that Noah's probably on the Russian NEH build, partly because it's Russian and partly because it rushes very quickly. So we see a siphon out of Geist that gets stopped by Little Engine.
Yeah, so Todd there card. Calling, it's probably a 50-50 on Codegate or barrier. So goes for the barrier, happens to have that breaker, but doesn't connect.
But the NEH deck is built around using Advanced Assembly Lines, Jeeves, Monobiroids to give you some extra clicks, and then team sponsorship to help recur the Advanced Assembly Lines, which then makes you money by rezzing them for free using these Mumba Temples. It's all very synergistic and can go very, very quickly. But if the runner has the money and knows what he's doing and can trash things in the right order, it can be a little more fragile. But if the runner's spending all their money trashing stuff, they're not stealing agendas.
And there's a lot of remotes to check is another factor here. So they will often try and sneak some agendas through. And Geist, needs to set up some more to get the economy to battle these assets, if that's the line that Geist is going to take here. I was really surprised to see Noah take this list to the store championship. A lot of people were still on Wizard. I was on Wizard. And he decided to take this anyway and actually did quite well with it.
Yeah, well, I guess, even Wizard can't trash everything, right? It's still good. And, again, if Wizard's trashing all your stuff, you can get up to speed and scoring very quickly with this list. Little Engine isn't one of those little fantastic bits of tech that you put in just the right spot to annoy whatever type of opponent you have. If you put on a remote or against an Anarch or something, they're pretty much Daviding it in order to get through, and then that only works once.
What does Criminal do against this? Is Fem his best shot here?
Fem's okay. It's on a central, so honestly, something like Passport is fine.
Oh yeah.
Let's see, because it's strength 7, Passport pumps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think it costs.
Maybe getting through for a credit once you get paid back, something like that.
Yeah, because you get the rebate. So it's not horribly expensive, but it has a large upfront cost. And right now, because that siphon didn't land, Geist has no momentum right now. Um, Noah is just kind of running over this board.
So that was
Um,
Jeeves' click for diversified portfolio after installing 2 new remotes.
yeah, I mean, Geist really needs to get out some of his disposables on the board already. Because his engine doesn't get going until he actually has stuff that he can trash. And Geist is kind of weird in that he plays almost for a long game. Because by the end of it, once you have everything set up with Geist, once you've got all your cloud breakers and maybe a set of regular breakers, and you've got your tech traders and you've got your fall guys, you can just get in anywhere. It's very hard to stop you. But until then, um, it can be very difficult to get any momentum if you don't have the money. Um, what I think he really is missing right now is a Temujin contract.
Oh
Like
yeah, definitely.
if Geist can pull a Temujin, he suddenly has the money to actually do things this game.
And we're
Um,
really seeing the court board state build out here. He just scored a Beal that was on the table, triggering both Jeeves and sales team to reinstall some stuff. And then he used, I think, Friends in High Places off of the Jeeves click to install some more stuff.
this is disgusting. Like this is disgusting.
Just spamming out the board. Yeah, at this point, the runner
Oof.
might. Oh,
Oh,
that's pretty devastating. So Cobra
ow.
sniping the corroder and doing a couple. What is it? Meat damage,
Net, but
net damage.
same thing.
So Archangel, but he cannot fire it. Yeah, so Geist might be better off kind of sticking the centrals here and occasionally checking one of the remotes, trying to at least keep Noah honest and let Noah know that he can't sneak any more agendas through like that.
Yeah, my suspicion is that was it may have been calculated and it may just have been Noah putting out all that stuff might have put him a little on tilt. Just because poking R&D for a single access there doesn't seem worthwhile for Geist. Like at best, you get an agenda, but it doesn't help you set up your board here. You're it
Well, it might have been the thing
obviously.
with Criminal. You often want the corp to be low on money, so might have just been trying to kind of siphon money away without the card siphon. That is possible.
Maybe, but at the same time, if the corp is low on money, then theoretically criminals should be able to take advantage of that by doing something else somewhere else. Um, and Geist isn't set up to do anything right now. Like the net damage even hit the Shiv in his hand, which otherwise would have been great, perfect for getting through that Cobra.
Well, I think you're seeing like that we were talking about. This is super rush style corp deck. Geist has to build up, and maybe Todd is kind of he knows the game plan that he plays with Geist against ETF and CTM and whatever else, and he knows that game plan is not going to work against Rush and NEH. So he's taking a different line here, and it's not the ideal thing he'd want to do, I'm guessing, but it might be necessary. So. I guess that was that already down on the table?
That was on the table.
Yeah, so he had a couple Beals down. So again, tech startup back with the team sponsorship.
Yeah, at this point, I think I start checking these remotes and see if MBN is hiding anything else there.
Certainly, we need to check the ones that he's just installing from hand. So he's going to go trash the tech startup. What do you think about that trash? I mean, what do you think he's concerned about Noah going to get?
Honestly, probably either more Mumba temples or more assembly lines. Both of those seem good to res these mysterious cards, and both of them help get around that kind of criminal anti-money denial that you're usually expecting.
It also helps thin out his deck a bit in terms of drawing more agendas and drawing ice, because this deck does not have a lot of ice. And he's getting close to the point, I think, where he probably wants to install another piece of ice over either central. So drawing a piece of ice would probably be good. I see his sweeps weak.
Yeah, I feel like you could probably throw one over R&D and be okay. Geist is almost at the point where he could drop a Mongoose and maybe make a couple runs. Um,
But he's quite a bit away from really leveraging that run in any good way. Like,
and he does have a Mongoose in hand, actually.
he would have to get Mongoose down and Temujin, or what is Geist doing for multi-axis here?
It's hard to say, and it kind of depends on the Geist build. Most Geist builds I've seen recently are using medium, a singleton medium for multi-axis, and then legwork for multi-axis in HQ. And some of them might play a Maker's Eye or something. But it's influence in criminal is tight, right?
Sure. Is turning wheel sometimes a thing with Geist?
It can be, but I find that you're not often making enough runs to make it worthwhile. Simply because Geist is typical Geist builds. I should preface this. The Geist builds that I'm most familiar with that use a lot of the disposable breakers. They tend to be kind of more sniping and camping builds, I guess. Simply because their one-use breakers make them really good at that, right? It's like, oh, you're trying to get into the server. I will get into any server I want, and I will have more money at the end of it than when I started.
We do see the medium in hand there that Todd has.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like he is playing that kind of Angry Geist build. But Noah keeps sneaking out these agendas on the table. And license acquisition.
Yeah, he's scored 3 agendas this way. I don't think there's really been... That wasn't a fast advance, right? He used Shimmet from SanSan, but I don't think it was for fast advance purposes.
Yeah, no, this stuff's all been on the table. Like, because his opponent just isn't bothering to check the remotes right now.
There are a lot of remotes, but he could probably at least check half of the remotes that Noah's installing from hand, because those are the ones that could be an agenda. The ones that are coming back from team sponsorship or the assembly lines are not agendas.
Yeah. Yeah, so again, he's kind of... Geist is going after R&D. He just spent all 4 credits to do that.
And he just had another peel on the table.
If you don't check the remotes... Sure. There was even a corporate sales team on the table, it looks like.
That's the thing with the Russian NEH. You're drawing so many cards that you tend to draw a lot of agendas, and if you don't aggressively score them out, they're going to get stuck in HQ, and you don't want that against criminals. So, yeah, I think Todd decided to kind of take the gamble that those agendas weren't going to be on the table, and it obviously didn't pay off this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Geist isn't running Desperado. There's a lot less of the criminal. I'm just going to go ahead and check stuff because I'm making money anyway.
That's a really good point. And you're not Wizard. Wizard's incentivized to run. If you have Desperado, if you don't have those incentivizations, it's hard to justify making those tempo hits when you're trying to build up a board state anyway.
Yeah, and without a Temujin, without that Siphon landing, Geist just wasn't able to get off the board and get started.
Yeah,
really.
That's true. It never felt like I think it's a good way to put it. It never felt like he really got things started. He was kind of always on the back foot, always trying to just build up. And meanwhile, Noah was just doing the NEH thing, and it worked out.
Yeah, and I found this very much often with Geist decks. If you don't get off to a decent amount of money start early, Yellow's just going to bury you. They'll have too many assets or they'll score too quickly, and you don't have enough ways of getting in without that Siphon, without that Temujin. Your money sources are, you have to have stuff on the table and then trash them, but you have to have the money to get them on the table in the first place.
All right, well, that is the game. A quick one. I thought it was worth highlighting that matchup and talking about, Russian NEH. I have not seen a lot myself in practice, so it was an interesting game to watch.
Yeah, Noah played it very well.
Yeah, thank you, Chris, for commentating.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
And we will have more up on the channel soon from this very tournament. Thanks, everyone, for watching.